wanted to create a quick video to talk about the news, like every other film YouTuber is doing right now, but I just want to give my thoughts because I think, I'm just trying to talk. As you may have known, Fuji Pro 400H is gone, which honestly is really sad for me to hear. I was actually heartbroken that this film stock is gone because honestly that film stock it means a lot to me. To preface, Fuji Pro 400H was my first film stock that I ever shot on film. It was given to me by a friend. Shout out to my friend Charlene if he's watching. But it was the first roll I ever shot. It was 35 millimeter. And basically these images are just so cool in my opinion because they mean a lot in that sense, like that your first roll ever is something that you just kind of never forget. It's probably the reason why I got into film. But I took these photos on Fuji Pro 400H, and immediately the grain structure and the colors, for example, this is a photo of me in Oregon, and I completely love this photo because I love the colors, the greens, the blues, and then just like that underexposed little specks within the shadows. Like, it's dope, pretty dope. And initially, like, when I first had these images, I didn't like them. They were definitely beautiful in my opinion, but I just thought the greens were a bit too overpowering for my taste. And I just thought, like, in my head, I'm like, why do all my film photos look like this? And perhaps it's just the way that my camera was just processing the film. But definitely, I did not appreciate Fuji at the time. In fact, it actually drove me to a Kodak, and I experimented with like other film stocks. But like basically, it wasn't until I took a bit more portraits with it actually, and literally, this is a photo of my friend Aaron. Like, literally, I was in love because this is the first time I actually shot Fuji Pro 400H on medium format. Medium format, it's like, I've heard, like, don't quote me on this, but Fuji Pro 400H actually renders their colors differently, just a little different on medium format. And I believe I am not even sure why. Please, if you know, comment on below. But basically, it looks a bit more natural, I would say. It's still very characteristic of those like Fuji greens and the shadows, and historically what I know is, again, don't quote me on this, take it with a grain of salt, but like Kodak is known for like their like tan colors, or how it renders skin tones, of course. But I know a lot of East Asians love Fuji because of how it renders their skin tones. It makes them a bit more fair, and it kind of balances the redness in their skin tones and gives it this like really nice hue. I could definitely see that. Personally, I kind of like shooting, whether it's like shooting Fuji overexposed or shooting Fuji underexposed. I am actually a fan of shooting Fuji underexposed because I just love how like that grain is on the shadows. Again, not everyone's like that, but definitely the few times that I have shot Fuji, it was just amazing. Of course, like nature wise, like once you have that flexibility with Negative Lab Pro, it's a Lightroom plugin. Negative Lab Pro allows me to scan most of my film and convert them from negatives to positives, and because I have a lot of flexibility with the TIFFs, definitely that is why I love being able to scan Fuji Pro 400H myself. Granted, I never know what it's going to look like from my film lab, and I also don't really like how my film lab renders my film. But definitely self-scanning, and it's really difficult because I was planning to make Fuji my go-to portrait stock. Because of the fact that, Fuji's gone, it's just like what are you gonna do, I guess it just begs the question in a sense of, we all know that film is not really that sustainable for the earth, and perhaps that's why a lot of these film stocks are going away. You probably have seen a bunch of other Fuji Pro 400H, man, that's a long name, videos in a sense, and you probably understand the news in a sense of the scarcity of the chemicals at hand. If that's the case, if there is a demand, there's probably going to be more innovation. But I still personally see it as a conspiracy theory about how Kodak is planning to take over the film industry, as they normally do with their overpriced film stocks. And it just begs the question, like, why shoot film in 2021, you know? I don't know. I feel I might make another video after that. But in a world where we're becoming incredibly digital every single day, being analog in this digital world is definitely not as sustainable, but there are still reasons to do it. And if anything, this is a perfect time to start doing so, because you never know when these are going to go away, especially from Fuji, who we all know had great sales of their film stock, and suddenly it's gone. Perhaps it could be reintroduced, but I don't know. It just hurts to see something so loved by the community just like in an instant go away. Granted, I paid $50 for this, and I know it's totally overpriced. I'm not going to use it because I know that film, or at least everywhere, this is a sold out right now. So it's kind of cool to have this right now. But I'm definitely going to save it for my portraits, because I do love using Fuji more for portraits than I do Kodak. Even though Kodak is like still really, really good. My taste, I just love sunset photos with Fuji. So yeah, like film is a truly expensive hobby, and I might be like under fire for saying this, but I actually kind of like, as sad as like Fuji is getting rid of their film stock, in a way it kind of makes these last rolls even more precious. Like, in a few years, this is going to be like, people are going to be like selling these as expired film, and for a lot of us, this is kind of something that we grew up with, you know, and is so familiar with us. But there's going to be a generation, probably younger kids, that want to get into like film, and they will have no idea what Fuji Pro 400H is, as did I when I first got into film as well. So it's just wild, but it makes those roles, I think, definitely more precious. And probably I'm hoping that the images that come out of these next few rolls, at least the future rolls that I do shoot with Fuji, not the expired kind, like the ones that they're still selling, I'm definitely taking them with high regard, because it'll definitely help you cherish them more, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm kind of sorry I didn't really have a lot of images to show you, but just thanks for being able to be with me as I'm just like talking about giving an ode to Fuji Pro 400H. See, I hate the name. I really do. I don't understand how they're able to come up with this name, but hopefully, if they're willing, they might bring it back. Also, like, I love this film stock, especially on 120, because of like their easy end seals. Like Kodak, I mean, we all know how bad it is to like lick the film stock, especially now in a pandemic. Like, that's not good at all. But yeah, like Fujifilm, like, I love them, and definitely, while it may not be everyone's favorite film stock, it's definitely a favorite of mine. So yeah, that is an ode to Fuji Pro 400H. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Yeah, I wasn't really planning on making a YouTube video, but